This is the Bears Barroom Radio Network. The following program is recorded live and intended for all audiences.
Radio is scripted now. We just come up with it. We don't use computers. We don't rehearse. We're going to talk about this next. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the Bulls. And then we're going to have Brad Biggs on. And then we're going to have all this. No. If you don't know what you're going to talk about in the top of your head before a show, you shouldn't be in the business. I don't know what you got. I feel like Vince Vaughn in a couple's retreat. The Sharks are circling. Old school, baby.
You're listening to the Mike North Advantage, and it begins right now.
It begins right now with our special guest, Lotto.
Hello, Lotto. Yeah, Lotto's going, who's running the show here?
Exactly.
This is our new puppy, Lotto. Our new puppy, Lotto. Me and B love him. And I'll tell you what, he doesn't want to look into the camera. He's a little shy right now, but he's a calm dog. We're having fun. 5 days, Aldo. 5 days we've had him. He already has the basics down. I mean, think about it. You have a kid, you have 9 months to prepare. One day we wake up and we said, let's go get a puppy. And then instantly we found a puppy. But we're very happy. Wanted to introduce him to the Bears Barroom crowd. There you go. Okay, here you go, B. Let me just hand him over to BB.
He is gorgeous. Gorgeous. Hi, B.
Guy. Yeah, it's the happy house. We got birds, we got dogs, we got bad deals in the NFL. Well, how are you, buddy? Great job last night.
Thank you.
Whoa! I turned it on. I said to myself, I hope someday they have the energy of a Johnny Buffon. I hope they have the knowledge of an Aldo Gandia and the young lady.
Alyssa.
Yeah, just tremendous. And there's some hot collars going on right now. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Some very hot collars right now. And I said today, or I said yesterday when I put it out on Twitter, and by the way, folks, Aldo Gandia at Bears Barroom at North to North. I mean, we're over 12,000 now on Twitter. We've been growing and growing this company with the godfather of it all, Aldo Gandia. And we want to thank, of course, the great folks that sponsor us at Win Daily Sports. They're with us for the long haul. I went 2-0 last night with my picks. I am 6-4-1 here on Bears Barroom. That's right, 1-2 last week, but we're getting ready for the tournament. I got a couple picks today, but they're not tournament picks. But I want everybody to know this, that any tournament picks that I put up, whether it's on Win Daily, whether it's on Bears Barroom, or whether it's on AM 1000, you'll be able to say, well, you had all three listed. We are going to tag every single pick with my three platforms who have done tremendously well for me, my family, and Aldo, and for just to all three. So make sure you sponsor AM 1000 at ESPN 1000. Make sure you follow them. Make sure you follow at Win Daily Sports. Make sure you go to windailysports.com, and make sure you go to at Bears Barroom. Last night was just a banner night. Aldo's been busting his tail. I mean, how much sleep have you had, pal?
About 3 hours, but
yeah.
It's more than enough. This has been a busy week, of course, because of free agency frenzy. And I'll tell you what, people in the chat room are so fired up to hear what you've got to say about this Chicago Bears situation and Andy Dalton now being the quarterback of the Chicago Bears. So I'm just going to turn it over to you and let you address your fans.
Well, I was hoping that Mitch Trubisky would be picked up by now. That whole thing's been a debacle, and Mike Greenberg said it best, my old colleague over at WSCR. He said, you know what? Maybe the Bears shouldn't have taken Mitch Trubisky, but you don't act that way towards a quarterback that you drafted and that you're helping grow. Instead, they ran him into the ground. I can't stand Matt Nagy. Dave Wannstedt, to me, has taken 10 steps up, because Dave Wannstedt would not do what this guy did and what he did after game 3. He would not, after one mistake, pull a quarterback. They would not go on a PR campaign with some of the company men in the Chicago media and the national media to destroy the kid. And that's exactly what they did. I've been down this road. I know what the media can do. It was done to me, but it didn't work. they will do whatever they can if they're against you to piss on you. Okay? And I know them all. And then when you hear, oh my God, he's reunited with Bill Lazor and he's a short-term guaranteed good deal. I'm sorry, they could have had Andy Dalton last year for cheaper. And he was a coach on the team. They passed him up for the disgusting performance by Nick Foles. And if I hear one more person tell me that Mitch Trubisky never beat a winning team, well, maybe he would have if he hadn't been yanked. And Nick Foles won against the winning team. He beat a Super Bowl team, but he went 2-5. It's time for the Chicago people. It really is for the Bear people to shut off whatever you're listening to. This is a disgrace what's going on. Credible talk show hosts, credible columnists, credible podcasters, people whose opinion you value, jumping from quarterback to quarterback weekly. That would have never happened back in the day. You lose your credibility, and boy, some have lost it. You could make a mistake on a guy, okay? But for me to still have to defend Mitch Trubisky after the debacle of last year tells me what kind of media people there are out there and fans. Mitch Trubisky has never hurt anybody in his life. He's done the best he can. He was miscoached. And you want to know something? I still want him. And I said, if you can't get Russell Wilson, and I told Aldo this 3 years ago, he's the best quarterback in football. But let me tell you something. Russell Wilson never said, I want to be traded. Never. And now we got this Deshaun Watson. We want him? The guy's in trouble now. There's issues. He wouldn't do something like this. That's not the point. You got a kid that's a first-class citizen, keeps his mouth shut, 29-21, 10,000 yards passing, and I hear credible people telling me he's a bust? What is wrong with everybody? What happened? When did 75% of the fan base turn into sheep? Where is the differences of opinion? There shouldn't be a smattering of people defending Mitch Trubisky. But I read, now he didn't know the plays and all this crap. Then how did he go 29-21? And don't tell me about the defense. He was a Pro Bowler. Granted, alternate, who cares? A guy isn't a bust when he's a Pro Bowler. Let me just sink that into everybody's head. Ryan Leaf was not a Pro Bowler. Jamarcus Russell was not a Pro Bowler. You want me to list the busts? I'll put you to sleep all day long. Tim Couch was not a Pro Bowler. Mitchell Trubisky was a Pro Bowler. I don't care how he got it. Mitchell Trubisky's a playoff quarterback. How ignorant can you be? Seriously, grown men. He's a bust. He's been in the playoffs 2 out of 4 years. He's 0-2. Boy, he couldn't beat Green Bay. Jay Cutler was 1-12. What happened to Bear fans? I know what happened. You listen to some people and you just buy what they're selling you. I've been dealing with, you know what? They talk about term limits in Congress. There should be term limits for columnists. The same crappy, misguided, wrong direction columnists have been around for 30 years. I actually am hearing people say the Andy Dalton deal is good. Are you out of your minds? You're giving up on a 26-year-old who's been to the playoffs 2 out of 4 years, but you're not giving up on him because the Chicago Bears said he's still on the table. Everything's on the table. They forgot to ask Mitch. I honestly believe he'd rather play in Canada than play for the Chicago Bears. And I hope wherever he goes, if he plays for the Toronto Argonauts, if he plays in the new football league, or if he plays in the National Football League, I'll always be a fan of his. You kiss Jay Cutler's ass on both cheeks, and you run this kid into the ground? You pay Jay Cutler $118 million. He goes 1-something with the Green Bay Packers and gets to one playoff game that he could actually participate in? And you put up 8 years of his crap? And you know what? The people that don't like Trubisky are the same people that loved Cutler. And if you look at the people that cover the Bears, and you look at their Twitter, it's pathetic. They want their food. They want their access. They want it. You want to know something? This is no different for me than 1992. I love my platform. I love this.
Well, and the fans in the chat room are just loving your commentary on this whole situation. And let me bolster what you're saying with some numbers that were collected by the Chicago Tribune. Take a look at this. The career passer rating for Mitch Trubisky is just a fraction lower than Andy Dalton. Last year,
yeah, but Mitch Trubisky's a bust.
Yeah, but check this out. Last year's QBR, Mitch Trubisky over Andy Dalton by almost 10 points. Average rushing yards, over 100 yards a season. Over the last 4 seasons, Mitch's completion percentage is 3 percentage points higher than Andy Dalton. These numbers all are evidence that what you're saying is correct there, Mr. Mike North.
I've been with Mitch for look, somebody said to me, when are you going to let go of the Mitch thing? How stupid can you be? What are you, a child? Give the phone back to your mother, son. Then the guy tells me I'm 42. I go, you are? Not in football mind. And then I got to hear from Gil Brandt. Oh, Dalton, what's wrong with him? Hey, Gil, your former team had him last year. He was 6-10 with a better offensive group of players than the Bears had. And you're friends of the McCaskies. You're an NFL lifer, and I respect you. I interviewed you numerous times, but shut up. My God. You get rid of a 20 cents. It's like getting rid of Starbuck. Like getting rid of Starbuck and bringing Craig Morton back. Are you out of your mind? My God. And I respect some of these people, and I respect Gil Brandt, but shut the hell up, man. I don't care.
Well, here's another guy that I know. He's a good friend of yours and somebody that you respect dearly. Dan Pompei wrote, Trubisky's numbers were better than Dalton's last season, but many football professionals aren't moved by those stats. Dalton should be superior to Trubisky from the standpoint of consistency. He won't make the kinds of self-defeating plays Trubisky routinely made. He will work the pocket better and know when to get rid of the ball and how. Dalton will identify the weaknesses of a defensive play call better. He will throw with more consistent accuracy. What do you say to your good pal, Dan Pompei?
He liked to watch that Cutler handfuls. Let's move on. You want to read Dan? And I love Danny. I love Danny. But Danny, and you want to know something? Been around a long time. I love Danny, but you know what? His percentage as picking quarterbacks, just go to Dan Pompei or go to columns, Dan Pompei on Nick Foles. That's all you have to do. And then we move on. They don't blame the coach. I want somebody to say that's a mainstream guy. I want somebody to say that's a mainstream guy that's written in this town or talked in this town for over 20 years. Well, talking's easier. You don't even have to go there. I want somebody that's a mainstream guy to say, the Bears were wrong about this. I can't believe what they did. Until I see that, just use your own heads. The media hasn't changed, folks. It's always been this way. Mm-hmm. Okay? It's always been this way. And by the way, Danny lived on the same block as me.
Right.
In Park Ridge. Friends. Mm-hmm. Okay? But come on. Look at Dalton's 0-4 in the playoffs. Mitch is 0-2. All I heard is he can't win in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. There's too many contradictions, regardless of what. And my contradiction is what? None. Because I was with Mitch Trubisky in the summer when they all conspired, the media and the coaching staff and the Bears, to ruin this kid. Mm-hmm. They're pathetic. The Bears are a pathetic organization. They've been pathetic since I was a child. Okay? And nothing's changed over the 45, 50-year span. We're still talking about the Super Bowl. We're still talking about 85. Okay? They got lucky in 2006. I think we can safely assume that. Mm-hmm. But they don't know. I mean, the media knows about as much about the quarterback situation, how to bring along a quarterback, as the Bears do. Nothing. They kept Jay Cutler for 8 years. They went after Nick Foles, who's been on 5 teams in 9 years. Off of what's over a 7-game deal in 2017. I love them for that. Good for you. That's on your resume. Just like Rex Grossman went to a Super Bowl. Okay? That's on your resume. But based on that, why didn't the Cubs give Kyle Schwarber after he had the 7 hot games in 2016 a 5-year deal for $100,000 based on that? No, they looked at him afterwards, just like the Bears looked at Foles with Jacksonville, and they thought he was going to be the guy. There was not supposed to be 2 bridge quarterbacks, Dalton and Foles. He was supposed to be the guy after game 3. Mitch saved their jobs, and now they're sticking it in his ass.
What do you say to people like Ravi, who loves what you're saying, but he does not agree with you about Mitch, and he says proof
he won't be swayed by Mitch. He doesn't have an open mind.
Yeah, well,
no one wants Mitch is a lie. See, right there. Don't put him up again. No one wants Mitch. That's a damn lie. Would you agree with me?
Well, he hasn't signed the contract, though, Mike.
I'm talking about me. And by the way, he went free agent last night. What happens if you got 4 offers? Are you supposed to just all of a sudden Aldo wants everybody to know this. When you get 4 offers, he went free agent last night. He's supposed to have an answer by this morning. This is what I'm talking about.
But the tampering period started on Sunday, and
tampering period.
Well, a lot of people.
Is that a legitimate thing?
Yeah, it is. It's
you mean you can tamper and not get in trouble?
It's called the legal tampering period in the NFL. It began on Sunday, and that's why we've seen all these agreements. Andy Dalton was agreed upon before.
How many are long term?
The agency actually started. So,
how many are long term?
I'm sorry.
How many are long term? Cam Newton. How many are really long-term deals that they signed? Jameis Winston? Jameis Winston. I think the Bears said to them, I heard they wanted him. Do you believe the Bears really wanted Jameis Winston? Because I don't. I believe there's guys that the Bears don't want, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. But there are reports that Jameis Winston said no to the Chicago Bears because he would rather play for the Saints.
Well, and that's a point.
Yeah.
There's a lot of players that have that attitude. You don't think Mahomes and Watson, who are great friends with Mitch, don't know what's been going on? Andy Dalton was plan 12, plan 13. Look at the Giants have signed Mike Glennon. Now, I don't know if this is collusion. Hey, don't make the McCaskies mad. Don't pick up Mitch. That sounds ridiculous to me. I think he might go to Denver. I think he could be a backup. But I got a proposition bet for everybody. Since everybody's so bold, okay? Everybody knows. I had 2 big deals put in front of me. Once it took me a week to figure out what I wanted to do. But I'll give everybody the benefit of the doubt. Let's say Mitch goes somewhere else as a backup. Or let's say he goes somewhere as a starter, Elds. I respect a lot of people in the business. I respect Tommy Waddle. I respect Yurko. I respect Carmen. I respect Mitch Moss from Visson. I respect Paulie Howard from Visson. These guys in the morning do a good job.
Absolutely.
And so do my colleagues at ESPN 1000. Anybody from The Score or any columnist like Dan Pompei or anybody else, give me 5-to-1 odds. The minimum bet is $100, but you can bet 1,000 with me. Give me 5-to-1 odds. I say next year, Mitch Trubisky starts on a playoff team. Not starts on a playoff team, plays for a playoff team. Now, he may be a backup. The bet is he's got to play a minimum of 5 games. Start.
Okay.
A minimum of 5 games. Whatever happens, whoever the Bears sign, even Russell Wilson, which I don't think is going to happen, but people are saying, no, we got till draft day, else maybe that will happen. But the Bears have the 20th pick in the draft, and all the good quarterbacks, folks, are going to be gone before then. That's where the Bears are in a quandary. If the Bears had the 6th pick in the draft, if they had the 8th pick in the draft, they'd be able to give Seattle that young quarterback that they covered, but they can't. I will bet everybody, give me 5-to-1 odds, the people I just mentioned, or columnists, or anybody, or Greg Braggs. You know, Greg's was a Mitch guy, but went the other way. You can DM me. You can bet 100 to 1,000. I'll bet you that if Mitch Trubisky plays starts a minimum of 5 games, he'll make the playoffs and the Bears won't. I'll be waiting for the DMs. And you can go up to 1,000. That would be 5,000 for me if Mitch plays on a playoff team, starts a minimum of 5 games, and the Bears don't make it. Now, if Mitch doesn't play a minimum of 5 games, the bet's off. It's period. It's got to be that. Or if Mitch doesn't even sign, Mitch might end up playing at Lakeshore Park. I mean, you know what I mean? So we'll see what happens.
What do you say about these reports that the Seahawks might still be interested in trading Russell Wilson to the Chicago Bears around draft time?
You know what's amazing? I don't know why. We just talked about that, didn't we, Els? This is great. Els is so disgusted he's wearing White Sox garb today.
That's right.
Every week, listen, guy's one of my dearest friends. He is. Every week we've done this, he's had something with the Bears on. Not today.
Not today. No.
Not today. It's not going to happen. Look, if Russell Wilson comes, I have no argument. He's my guy.
I know you love him, yeah.
I love him. I'm sorry. I've been with him since the beginning. They should have taken him when he was drafted, but, just like the Bears should have taken Ostad, over a lot of guys. I mean, just the nonsense. This is the same group of people that brought us Glennon and Foles.
That's right.
And they decided to stick with management, and I don't care what business you're in, folks. If you're management, your chances of surviving are better than somebody who actually produces and to run you into the ground publicly to make you look bad and make themselves look good. Period.
Chubbs 82 is with you all the way. He says, given that Mitch hasn't signed a contract 3 days into free agency, you think that means that nobody will sign him or that nobody wants him? That's ridiculous. Chubbs has been with you all the way on your argument.
I think it's ridiculous too in a way else. No, I'm not saying that. I just was talking about people that want the contract signed immediately, or maybe he's got 3 of similar contracts. But you're right. The tampering rule started Sunday, but he might have a second string job. I'll be shocked if he doesn't play in the league. I mean, how do you not play a guy with those numbers? Well, stranger things have happened. And by the way, if you do go to Canada or anywhere else, or if Mitch decides to stop playing football, okay, and move on to something else because
baseball. Yeah, come to the White Sox.
Yeah, exactly. Or on top of that, it's just going to be interesting. I think the whole thing's lost that the Bears screwed this whole thing up, and that's it. That's the bottom line. So, bottom line.
You're not going to convince Ravi. He says that if you're a real player, you get a call immediately.
Maybe he has.
And maybe he's.
Ravi won't be turned around. I won the argument with him. He didn't want Trubisky. He won the job, made the playoffs. I'm done defending Mitch Trubisky. Until Ravi admits he's wrong, don't read another thing from me for him. I don't want to even see him on the screen until he puts something up that says he's wrong, because that's part of growing up. When you make a football or sports debate argument, like I did with Cade McNown, I never liked him. I mean, I loved him, and he didn't make it. Curtis Enos. But if you can't admit when you're wrong, Ravi's been wanted every quarterback besides Mitch, he's unknowledgeable. Period.
The only Merv is saying that Ravi probably won't take the bet either.
If Ravi wants to take the bet, he DMs me his phone number, address. I check it out. He could bet $100.
There you go, Ravi.
$1,000. Otherwise, shut up. I mean, basically, I'm laying it out for everybody. I'm laying it out for people that are Mitch detractors. They know what the bet is. I name some names. If they want to take it, I'm in.
There you go.
And if the two guys from Vegas but I think they thought Russ was coming to town, right?
Yeah.
Well, that tells you they should have just checked with me. I could have told them. Now, that still may happen, but I'm only going to give you folks another week. You got a week to make the decision. Put 100 up, put 500 up, put 1,000 up. If Mitch doesn't play on a playoff team, doesn't start a minimum of 5 games, okay, it's off. But if he does start a minimum of 5 games, doesn't make the playoffs, and the Bears do, or let's say they both make the playoffs, you guys win the money. But if Mitch makes the playoffs and the Bears don't, on $1,000 bet, you owe me $5 grand.
There you go, Ravi. Ravi's making some comments. He's trying to negotiate the bet here. We won't do that. Do that on Mike's DM.
Yeah.
And I want to ask Mike now about Allen Robinson. There's the threat here that he will not sign his franchise tag. How legitimate, how serious do you take that? And do you think that the Bears are going to have a problem and should just try to trade him?
They've already lost half the locker room with the Dalton stuff. That's already done. I mean, if you think 80%, Jay Zawoski of The Score, I've known Jay for a long time. He put a Twitter up, okay? And it was Andy Dalton or Mitch Trubisky. Who do you want? 80% Mitch, okay? So I believe the Bears who love Mitch, that I know, they'll be pros. But if there's contractual situations like Allen Robinson, if I'm him, I'm running. If I'm him, I'm running. He may think Andy Dalton's going to get it done. But you know what? Andy Dalton was so ineffective last year. They threw $40 million at Prescott. If they thought Andy Dalton could do it again, they could have brought him back. They could have brought him back. Period. King Pookie Nation, he's coming around. Bears get a big F++.
That's right.
He's a man. All I want Ravi to do, then he could be back on our byline because he's on temporary suspension from this show, but he can bring himself back if he says he was wrong about Foles. That's all. He doesn't say nothing about Mitch. I was wrong about Foles.
A lot of great comments in the chat room, and I wish I could remember who said that. I'm scrolling to see if I can find it, but here it is. I think it's Kent. He said if Mahomes and Watson had not been in the same draft, Mitch would still be the Bears quarterback. How much do you think that is a correct opinion?
Yeah, but why should Mitch pay the price for that? Okay, it's not fair to pick on Andy Dalton either. I'm nothing personal about Andy Dalton. In fact, I'm the guy that's come up with the clever marketing idea of calling him the Orange Rifle, and dyeing his hair, having blue streaks, so his hair's actually blue and orange like the Bear logo. Okay, so I'm trying to ingratiate him. I'm not going to destroy him, but you don't get rid of a potential a guy like him, like Mitch, and bring this guy in. I mean, one of the few times, I know maybe I'm worried. I'm not in the minority here. I think yesterday on social media, the onslaught of even Mitch detractors that said if I knew it was going to be like this, I would have stuck with Mitch. People I respect who didn't want Mitch, they didn't believe in him. Good. They're saying, wait a minute, Dalton, are you kidding me? I mean, come on, period. It's not his fault, but he's the guy coming in for an unpopular quarterback, yet 80% of the fan base don't want him.
Yeah.
So how unpopular was Mitch? If 80% of the people who pulled their hair out don't want a guy that's been to the playoffs, granted 0-4, went 6-10 with a better team last year, better offense, can't run, you just put up the stats. I mean, the stats. And how about this? The odds went up. And you can figure it out all you want. If Russell Wilson signs with the Bears tomorrow, the odds drop from 50-1 to about maybe 18-1. Okay? But instead, we signed Dalton, and they go from 40-1 to 50-1? Unprecedented. Unprecedented. They have not worse with their signing. I think it's going to be Foles and Dalton. I don't believe they're going to get anybody else out.
Ravi is admitting that he was wrong about.
Bring him back. He's good. That's all you have to say. Ravi's the man. Welcome to your Bear mitzvah. You are a man, Ravi. I love you. He's back. I don't care. And we should get off the Mitch. It's a debacle what's happened. I mean, even my good friend Mike Greenberg saying, come on, man. You treat this guy like a dog. And all the kid did was represent the Bears in the utmost manner. They treated Cutler better in the Bear organization. And he was a sad sack sourpuss, period. And not a leader.
Yeah. A great comment here by, let me see if I can find it. Elke, I can't pronounce his name.
That's Alex Freaks.
There you go.
Alex.
Pace has more job security than we think. Signing Andy isn't a sign of a desperate team swinging for the fences. Guaranteed Pace is back for 2 more years, and that's why Ted Phillips refused to discuss Pace's contract in the press conference that they had earlier this year. I said the same thing a couple of days ago. I totally agree that these guys are behaving in a way that they are getting a pat on the back from George McCaskey and Ted Phillips and telling them, don't worry, just do what you think is right.
Let me tell you something. I called this 3 weeks ago on Bear Barroom. I said Nagy would be gone next year. Pace would be brought back because Pace had great draft picks too. Pace engineered trades for Mac, and he also drafted Jackson. And granted, down year last year, but there was a lot of people. Pace drafted Mitch Trubisky. Okay, that's his mistake. But Pace wasn't the one that pushed Foles. Pace isn't the one that pushes Dalton. That's Laser. That's Mitch. That's Nagy.
Right.
I've said that Pace's drafting of people, even the ones that have gone away, like Leonard Floyd, his drafting of players has been pretty good. His free agent pickups haven't been bad. The quarterback mistakes on Nagy, he'll be gone next year. They won't make the playoffs. I already said that to everybody. Unless you want to jump into DM. 5-1, Mitch. Playoff, there's not. It's not that Mitch wouldn't make the playoffs. Maybe he won't. Maybe he won't start. Maybe he won't be in the league. And then the bet doesn't work because he's got to be in the league. I don't want him to win with the Montreal Alouettes and, win the Canadian League, win the Grey Cup and collect. But we'll see if I get any calls. Even Danny Pompey, Brad Biggs, guys I respect. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Throw your 100 down. And if I win, you owe me 5. If you win, you get your 100 back. You get double your money back, period.
There you go.
I'd be taking, because Mitch can't read defenses and he stinks. I'm really, that's why it's 5-1.
Q from Cincy says, hey, Mike, Joe Burrow, because we know he's a Bengals fan. Burrow got hurt last year, and my stupid Bengals signed everything but offensive linemen. It could always be worse, Mike.
He's smart. And who did Seattle sign recently?
They signed an offensive lineman. A really good.
Because Russell Wilson's leaving. Let's find a.
That's right.
So Andy Dalton can be protected.
That is so true.
They're listening to Russell Wilson. He never said he wanted to be traded. I'm hearing on my official from my official source. The Bears have a deal with Jerry Reinsdorf to rename the United Center to Russell Wilson Center. Hold on. Yeah, this might be in the papers. They've offered up to 10 starters now and 5 first-round picks till 2028. Okay. And Seattle still turned it down. See if you could throw in the naming of a terminal. Okay? Unbelievable.
Do you believe the report that the Bears offered 3 first-rounders, a third-rounder, and 2 starters? I find that hard to believe.
No. They don't have and the cap room and all that. No, I don't believe any of it, but people will believe it because the Bears, who are known for their sneakiness, their secretiveness, who don't tell anybody anything, all of a sudden want you to believe that crap. Please. That's just to keep people off their back, but they don't understand. You had a potential decent race car, okay, and you traded it in for a covered wagon. That's it. That's what you did. You took a 32-year-old guy with worse stats who couldn't bring a better offense, where that team didn't even want him back, for a 26-year-old who's only started 3.5 years. One of the dumbest things the Bears have ever done, and they've got a whole list of them, period.
Interesting.
What do you think Virginia McCaskey thinks about this?
Well, poor Mrs. McCaskey. I know she desperately wants to win. She's getting up there in age, and we, of course, remember George McCaskey saying that she was pissed. But I just wonder, if they really want to win one for her, they're going about it all wrong, I'll tell you.
And she still has veto power. See, to me, to say because she's older and a woman and to not hold her responsible is demeaning. is sexist. My mother, I tell her my own mother, you were an above average mother. You could have been better, but you could have been worse. So if I can criticize my own mother, I can criticize a person that's the lead person for the Chicago Bears, regardless of gender or age, because that's sexist and that's ageism. She better get a handle on things. And if she's not getting a handle on things, then maybe move aside. But I believe she's still as sharp as she's ever been. I think she believes in her own people too much. But I also believe she likes the comfort zone of people who have made bad decisions. So once again, I will say this. My mother was an above average mother. Could have been a better mother. My mother's 91 years old. If I can criticize my mother, I can criticize the owner of the Chicago Bears, regardless of gender. And if you don't like it, you're a sexist. Back to you.
Ravi makes the joke that Virginia does not have dementia like her son, George McCaskey.
I believe it. Look, I think what Mrs. McCaskey really believes, she believes in her people. But that's a sort of naivete after what we've seen over the past 5 years that you can't discount. And if you're going to say that she's not sharp, that she's too fragile, well, then you're a sexist. Because she's a woman? Because she's older? I don't want to hear that. Yeah, she's got that title. She's entitled to scrutiny. And I think she doesn't have a problem with that as long as it's done in a classy way.
Mike, I know, that we can name players that we should acquire or try to target in free agencies, but we won't get into that because we could name a player now and in 5 seconds he's signed somewhere else. But from a position standpoint, what position would you like to see Bears management target in terms of bringing in some veteran help for this team?
Lineman.
Offensive
I want lineman. I want Mitch to stay. I wanted him to stay. I want linemen. But if you got Dalton, you got to have linemen. Dalton can't run. I mean, in this day and age, with guys like Aaron Donald and by the way, what happens if Akeem Hicks leaves? Are they going to release him too?
Yeah, that's the rumor.
Dalton being brought in, Hicks being escorted away. We're not going anywhere next year. This is false hope. But we have to have an offensive line that can protect Andy Dalton. Now, Montgomery, these other guys, the running game will not be as good because you don't have the threat of a running quarterback. As soon as Mitch got back in, the offense looked better. I don't care what he's ranked. I don't care what happened. Did the offense look better and we make the playoffs? Yes. So this is a step back according to Vegas. Not me. Not me. According to Vegas. They went like this. I mean, the smartest minds in the business, people I've dealt with for 35, 40 years said, Mitch Trubisky, let's go 40-1. And let's see what the contract situation is because they might sign Russell. Yeah, you're right. Okay, 40. Bears what? 50-1. Think about that. They got together and said they got worse.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what's going to be interesting next year? If the Bears do well, it's going to be because they have built up that offensive line that they're going to give Andy Dalton all the time that he needs to be effective. And people are going to say, well, look at Andy Dalton. He's a much better quarterback than Mitch Trubisky, but you're not comparing apples to apples then.
I'm with you. And here's another thing. You're right. The offensive line, when he came back, you're right. They didn't get as many sacks. See, an offensive line sort of like for the quarterback is, at least that's the way it used to be in the 90s, or the way it is with Tom Brady. Tom Brady, look, I'm going to say this. If I lose that bet and the Bears make the playoffs, I'll be thrilled. And Dalton will have won. And Dalton, then we have to all get the respect. But here's what I'm thinking about. How come it's okay to bury Mitch Trubisky for 4 years, but we got to take it easy on Dalton for a week, after a week? You see my point here? You can't have that.
Yeah.
Any criticism Dalton gets, he earned. Any praise he gets, he earned. But it's amazing how you could run. Cutler gets a free ride. Foles gets a ride. Trubisky doesn't get a ride for 4 years from the day he was drafted And Andy Dalton signs the other day, and myself and others criticize him, and people are going, hey, it's not his fault. What a bunch of hypocrites.
Yeah. Very true. Very true. Well, at this point, there's still a lot of roster building to do, but you probably have the Bears not even winning 5 games at this point. I know it's very, very early.
I got them at 7-9, 8-8. They still got a defense.
Okay.
I'm not. Look, I want Andy. If they go 12-4, I'll have the baton. Mm-hmm. I'll have my face. Look, if the Bears win the Super Bowl with Andy Dalton, you got it right here. I will dye my hair blue and orange. I will dye my hair blue and orange. If the Chicago Bears, I don't want to. They made the playoffs this year. Can they make the playoffs next year? Yeah. So they're a playoff team. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to. But if they win a playoff game with Andy Dalton, how's that? That's reasonable. Mm-hmm. I will dye my hair blue and orange and walk around for a week like the goofs that go to the games. And I'll also try to apply for a job that I don't need, just with the hair, so I can see the expression on somebody's face.
Mule Skinner says he'll shave his nuts.
Oh God!
What an image!
and after Mule Skinner does that, I'll throw up in my mouth. You know what's fun about this, though? Everybody was hot the other day. Mm-hmm. Everybody. I've never seen a Bear fan base, both good and bad. Well, you want Mitch still? Or how could you get rid of Mitch? Everybody was mad. So we're all going to calm down.
Right.
I'm still, and we'll see what happens with Mitch. We'll see look at I can't blame you. I do want to know. I came up, we have the sickest listeners right here. That's right. On our podcast.
Oh, absolutely. And
people them. And people are with me. We want the kid to succeed. I'm a Bear fan.
Right.
I bet, listen, the other day, Mark Potash and I went back and forth, a little bit on Twitter.
Right.
Mark,
I saw that. Yeah.
I said, Mark, so I tried to soften it up because I go back to Ed Brown. Ed Brown, he made 2 Pro Bowls, 56, 57. I started looking. I go, did you look up Ed Brown? The guy threw 115 touchdowns and 135 interceptions, yet he made 2 Pro Bowls. That's how much the quarterback position has changed. Running back used to be with the Willie Gallimores, the Gale Sayers, the Jim Browns. This is a 20, 30-year phenomenon, the quarterback deal, where Kyler Murray gets more play than a 2,000-yard runner. Mm-hmm. Right? Come on. We hear more about bum quarterbacks, and if you want to throw Mitch in, go ahead, folks. We hear more about Matty Ice and Mitch and if you're Matty Ice, how come Atlanta? Well, they went to 1. But all these guys that haven't been successful lately, Andy Dalton, you hear more about them than you hear about the 2,000-yard rusher.
Yeah, very true.
Crazy.
Very true. So a lot of people in the chat room are predicting records, and we're getting predictions like the Bears going 6-11.
I'm never going to go there. 6-0. Oh yeah, they're playing 17 next year.
That's right.
Because of safety issues. Ding, 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 ding. They're worried about. All I heard. CTE, concussions. 60 minutes. 60 minutes concussions. How about, hey, beat the press? What about the concussions? That's terrible. Concussions is terrible. NFL, we are concerned about the safety of our players. But 17 games. Ding, 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 ding. Morons.
That's what it's all about. It's that cash. And it's interesting why they still have not announced what this TV contract money is going to look like, because we are getting certain reports that it's going to be the biggest TV contract in the history of TV contracts. They are going to really rack it up.
But you shouldn't spend stupidly like Jerry Jones because of that.
Yeah.
I mean, Dak Prescott, I want Bear fans to answer this question. Would you rather have Mitch for 45 or Dak with the 75 next year? Dak Prescott for 75, Mitch for 25. That's all. I just want to hear from a couple people. Mm-hmm. That's all, because Dak Prescott couldn't do anything with the Cowboys. He couldn't. I don't care what kind of stats he has. Isn't it amazing that Watson and Dak won 12 games total?
That's right.
Right? They won 12 games total last year, yet everybody wants them. It's amazing to me. How many did the Bears win with Mitch and Foles? 8?
Yeah, eight games.
So they won 2/3 more, as much as these two superstars.
Well, and the thing is that it could have been more than 8.
Oh, yeah.
Nick Foles didn't play six of those games and looked terrible in more than half of those games. But
he beat Tampa Bay.
Yeah. But speaking of terrible, Mike, last night the Chicago Bulls blew a 22-point lead last night, and I just wanted to get your take on that because
I'm so glad because we got to cover the rest of these sports. That's what we do here. I don't care if I'm here till 3:00 in the afternoon. Wild. Aldo called me the other night. He had the phone. I go, hello. He goes, can't we wait till Thursday? I go, where you at? You okay? Yeah, I just got done with my 17th show in 4 days. Click, and that was it. I go, okay. The Chicago Bulls last night. Win daily. The best go-to hit cappers, everything else. Win Daily Sports. Check out my guy, Michael Raziel. I'll be on Twitter this afternoon. I'm doing 2 shows this afternoon, 4:00, folks. I'm here, right here on Twitter. I'll have 2 different games than the 2 I'm picking with Aldo. Believe me. But the Chicago Bulls last night, I took San Antonio. Me and B are watching. The usual guys on Twitter. Hey, how'd you make that pick? They always do this, and then it's the NBA. But I will tell you.
That's right.
The Bulls look so good, and San Antonio looked like dog shit. So I'm like this. I go, okay, we got the Kings tonight. Hopefully they'll win. It doesn't help that the team I wanted to bet last night, that I was thinking betting 2, but I said I better stay off. It was the Rangers, and they won 9-0 in hockey. And I said I'll stay off it. So now I got the Kings game. They won, but I'm down 22. BB goes, you want to watch a movie? That's always the sign to she stays with me till the end. Okay.
She's the greatest.
Yeah. I mean, so I turned on what was appropriate. I scrolled down and I turned on the Titanic. It was appropriate for the moment. He was floating on the door or trying to float on the door, and she kept kicking his ass off. Here, I'll blow the whistle for you. Look, I know you got hyperthermia, but there's only room for one. And I'm a large type of woman. I'm Kate Winslet. Buxom. Wait. I'm blowing the whistle. Nobody's coming. Are you kidding? Wait, there's a flashlight. Hey, Jack. So then I go to Twitter, and I don't see Chuck Swirsky dancing. Which I love.
That's great.
So then I check, and then I turned on Pavarotti, and I just whoa. I can't believe they lost that game. They got outscored 39-19.
Unbelievable.
I mean, that's Jim Boylan territory. I don't care if you got Billy Donovan. You can't lose that game like that. Come on.
Yeah.
Unless somebody forgot to tell me that Duncan, Ginobili, and Parker were back for the 4th quarter. But I can't believe what happened. I won that game. I had a huge night. It just turned everything around for me.
Yeah.
I mean, unbelievable. That's a bad loss.
Yeah.
And they had just changed their lineup a little bit, and I still have hope for that lineup, but they made some big mistakes. It's almost incomprehensible to have a 39-19 4th quarter. But they're not closers.
Right.
And if you have a criticism of that, and he's made a couple, I'm not taking anything away from Zach. Believe me, the guy's a tremendous player. I'm not dogging him, but we need him in the 4th quarter to show up. And Kobe White, I don't know where he's at. Wendell Carter, I don't know where he's at. Yeah. We got to get more consistent.
Yeah, and it's too bad that the bench, gives up the lead, and then the starters come back in, and they just weren't able to stop, the boat from sinking, to use your Titanic reference.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
When I got back, I go, B. She went, like we look.
Yeah.
But it's the NBA. But I mean, I think the threshold for NBA leads, I think when it gets over 20 for the most part, 22, you're down 22, especially in the first half, maybe you can come back. They were down like 22, 23, and I'm going to myself, they're not coming back. But they came back, and I couldn't believe it. It just was not good. And Mule Skinner says Carter and White are liabilities. I would trade them both. I don't know what you'll get for them, but this is one of the reasons that John Paxson got moved.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
A lot of bad decisions by Paxton have to be corrected.
Fell in love with Duke guys.
Yeah, exactly. Mike, the NCAA tournament starts today with the first four. And, I had to look this up because I
thought today was the start.
Yeah.
Like it's been for 100 years or something.
Right.
Why is it moved?
They're calling this the first four, which is a series that has been in existence for 10 years. Yeah, it is
now.
It is part of the tournament, but it's existed for 10 years. So those games, I don't know. Do you have any interest in watching these games? I didn't think so.
I got my picks. Listen, I got 2 picks for everybody at the end of the show. They're not NCAA. It's a limited schedule.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but why didn't you play Tuesday or Wednesday?
Mm-hmm.
I don't get it. I don't make COVID. Are you kidding me? And now they're saying Virginia has to pass a couple protocols, but the NCAA is allowing you to have 5 players. If I'm on Virginia and 6 of my guys get COVID, I'm playing. I'm playing.
Yeah.
I don't care if I don't got it. I'm playing. I saw DePaul almost beat Larry Bird and Matt, and get a chance to go to the finals with 5 guys. I saw him play with 5 guys. I remember it. I remember their lineup, like I remember the 69 Cubs lineup, like I remember some of the White Sox lineups, like I remember, I mean, seriously, Gary Garland, the Music Man, Clyde Bradshaw, Jim Mitchum, Mark Aguirre, and Curtis Watkins. They bring another guy in, you'd cover your eyes for 5 minutes, then you'd hope they were still, and they won. I think yesterday, Mark Potash or somebody said it's the 40th, or Bruce Wolf said it's the 40th anniversary of when they blew it. And when the most hurtful losses I suffered were the DePaul losses. Oh. They were the DePaul losses. I wanted them to win the national championship. They got upset both years. And, Ray Meyer made the Final Four, and I love Ray Meyer. And
I was just going to ask you, did you know Ray?
Oh, this is the truth. The Bulls used to practice at Angel Guardian Orphanage, which was on Ridge and Granville, okay? For people familiar with the North Side. It's now Misericordia. They had a beautiful facility. Well, the Bulls didn't have the facility. I worked for the Park District. The Artis Gilmore, Reggie Theus teams with Jerry Sloan or as coach, and then later on practice at Angel Guardian. I worked for the Park District. That was my area. Emerson Park, Potawatomi Park. We cleaned all the North Side parks. But at lunchtime, you could walk in and watch the Chicago Bulls practice publicly, sit in the bleachers. So I sit in the bleachers. This is before I'm into business. And I'm looking around. It's like I want to say it was 75, 76. I just gotten out of the service. True story, folks. There's like 25 people watching a Chicago Bulls practice with Artis Gilmore. They're walking around. Nobody's even bothering them. You see Johnny Morris with a camera crew, Sure. We're watching. He was as big a star as the Bulls players were, right? And here's Johnny Morris. And I look, there's Ray Meyer. But Ray Meyer hadn't played. It wasn't 1979 yet.
Okay.
Sitting by himself. Nobody's saying a word.
Oh.
Nobody's saying a word. It's 1976, 75. Then Artis Gilmore pulls off in his Rolls Royce, which they took the front seat out. They used to get gas right there at the Standard. And we're sitting in the Park District watching Reggie Thee, all these guys.
Wow.
It was absolutely, and that's how archaic it was back then.
Yeah. Wow. And that is strange that Ray Meyer has such a long career coaching DePaul. He was, for people in the know, he was a Chicago icon, but it wasn't until they got that national spotlight, made it to the Final Four, and it was so heartbreaking.
And then they got criticized. Then his success turned on him when they didn't make it. But then I meet Ray Meyer. Then he comes on my TV show. I talked to him. I go, do you remember Angel Guardian? Oh, sure, Mike. Yeah, I remember Angel Guardian. I used to go there when I worked for. Get out. Yeah, those are the good old days. Like that, just like that. But I would say this. Is Porter Moser a better coach than Ray Meyer was? He's been to the Final Four with Loyola. They've captured the heart of the city. They're back again, which is ridiculous as a number 8 seed. Are you kidding me? They are a top 10, top 15 team. And if you're an Illinois fan, and by the way, Georgia Tech lost their star player. So Loyola's favored by 5.5 now. It was a picket game. Okay. So things are falling into place for them. But if you're Illinois, I'm going to tell you this right now. You don't want Loyola. Are you people out of your mind? And plus it screws us. We have 2 schools. And they put them in the same region? What a terrible, awful job that was. They did a good job, total. But you have a Chicago market, and you put them in the same region, and you put a team like Loyola that's been to the Final Four with some of the same players. Are you out of your mind? Yeah. And everybody was happy. People going, yeah, Illinois. No. One should be in one region, one the other. Then they could both maybe go far. That being said, I have Loyola winning it all. I grew up 4 blocks away. Sorry. And they've been there. Illinois hasn't been there. But Brad Underwood's a good coach, too. And if anybody wants to know what my dad was like, just look at Brad Underwood. Because I'm telling you, when this movie thing hits that we're doing, Aldo and I, but he might play my father. He might have to put on 30 pounds, but he might play my father. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, you froze on the screen. I just wanted to say. I watched MJ, Ben Wilson, Terry Cummings. Oh, yeah. Those guys played. Look, Herney777 says, I hate to see Illinois beat Loyola. Let me tell you something. I hear people say Loyola is like a top 10 team. But they're Loyola. If you're Illinois and you're one of those kids and you know a lot of those guys because you play against each other, I'm serious. You went, Jesus, couldn't we have gotten somebody else to play in the second round? That's going to be a tough game.
Yeah, it is indeed. Ravi's got this question off topic. He wants to know what your experiences were like in the service when you were there.
You ever see Biloxi Blues? Folks? That's the story of Neil Simon. Have you ever seen it, Aldo?
No. Biloxi Blues?
Biloxi Blues. Look it up.
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah.
It's the story of Neil Simon and the same thing. We did everything that they did. If you watch Tigerland, I was there at Fort Polk, Louisiana. It was 95 degrees in the dark there at night. It was swamp-ridden, huge fort. But Tigerland, if you want to rent that, I think that's a good movie. That's about Fort Polk in the 70s. It sort of resembles our platoon. What a platoon. I mean, we had mostly the guys were from Chicago. Listen to this, Chicago, Dallas, Alabama. Nice mixture, nice diverse mixture. We all got along. We were all draftees. We wanted to get the hell out of there, and we didn't want to die in Vietnam, period. So none of that happened. Vietnam was put on hold, and that's it. But I'm a firm believer if we weren't in war, but you never know when that's going to happen. See, that's why the draft will never be instituted again, but the draft basically helped me.
Keep freezing here.
The draft helped me so much. I didn't want to go. My dad cried for the first time in my life. He drove me to the induction center with my buddy Jimmy Koretzis. And I left, and I came back 2 years later as insane as I was before I left, but I knew how to make my bed.
Well, Chubbs82, who has served our country, says Fort Polk is still a piece of crap, and those shitty barracks.
I was there in 72. We basically, they took it from Van Buren, the induction center. They flew us from Chicago to Dallas. Then we all had to get off. We went from Dallas on another plane to Louisiana. We got there at midnight. It was like 85 degrees. It smelled like swampy. It was humid. We were all sweating. We didn't get they had to issue all our uniforms. We didn't get to bed till 2:00. And honest to God, everybody was laying in their bunks, and I heard two guys going, I heard guys weeping. I was riding my bike 2 weeks before. The next thing you know, I'm wearing an Army helmet going, where is he? You know what I mean? I was looking at my baseball card collection, right? 2 weeks later, I'm going, you hold the rifle like this when you go through the water? Okay, thank you. What? Seriously, that's what really happened to people. And a lot of guys died. They're doing their job, and then all of a sudden, they're put in the Army. It's crazy. But it was a good experience because I ended up living off campus and living across from K-State, and we had fun. Although the college
there you
guys,
go. We've got some bad weather in the area here, which is causing.
Because you're freezing?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, you're freezing.
Yeah, the image has been.
Well, don't worry.
It's been freezing, I think, because of the bad weather we're experiencing.
Just keep talking. You're moving when you're talking. I see you. Now you froze. That's awesome. Should I make my picks? Uh-oh, we've lost Eldo, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. Eldo is off the air, okay, right now. He's frozen. Look at Eldo there. What a guy. Anyway, I'm going to give out my picks. I don't know if we're still on the air, but I'll give out my picks. This is what I do. I have in the NHL tonight, and by the way, I'll post these in case I'm just wasting my time here. Colorado minus 145 in the NHL tonight. And New Orleans +1 in the NBA. So Colorado minus 145 in the NHL and New Orleans +1 in the NBA. Those are your two picks for tonight. Now, don't worry. I'll be on at 4:00 this afternoon with two more picks, hopefully. And I will also tell you, remember to follow. I'll be on Win Daily, the Twitter show. We want to thank Win Daily Sports for this today. We also want to thank, there he is. You're back.
I'm back. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right.
Internet today.
Was I still on?
Yeah, I think we were. So,
well, we'll find out. I said I basically took Eldo because I didn't know if we were going to still. I told everybody to follow us on Bears Barroom, Eldo Gandia, North to North. This used to happen in radio. Transmitter would go out. You just got to do what you got to do. You got to carry it while they're fixing things back there. So Eldo's back. Colorado minus 145 in the NHL, and New Orleans +1 once again in the NBA for today. I will be on the Win Daily show today with Michael Ruziel at 4:00 on Twitter also. Now, we just got off about the Bulls. I watched the Blackhawks the other night. Oh, God. Did you see the Blackhawks the other night, El?
No, I did not. What happened?
They suck. That's all. You know. You look like what's his name? Peter Graves in Airplane right now.
That's how I feel.
Trying to land the jet.
Look at who came in to try to rescue us. Ryan Bagley.
Dad, was I still on?
He said
you were. Yeah.
Good. Did I carry it? Did I carry it while the Godfather of
absolutely
was off?
As if there was ever a doubt.
First of all, great job with your show. I want to tell you, I love Ryan. And, you know, he does a great job, folks. Ryan, let everybody know when you're on. I put you up on Twitter all the time. It's a great show. I watched you guys. I watched Eldo last night. Tell everybody what you got.
Yeah, Barfly Tailgate, Sundays. Check us out right now, 11 a.m., off season. So we got to sleep in a little bit. We kind of party a little too hard.
I watched you guys the other night, and I don't know if the news was coming down, and you were like this. You know, I think John Buffon went to bed still talking and still pissed off last night.
Oh, absolutely.
He went 1990. That's how I was in 92 when I actually was even crazier than I am now. He went off last night. And I think that's how all Bear fans felt, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I always have said that Danny Shimon always calms me down because I get fired up. And him and Neil and Eldo the other night did a good job of kind of bringing my perspective back into play. Mike, I said the other night, I totally agreed with you on Mitchell Trubisky. To me,
it's amazing what's happened.
You look at the numbers and it's the same guy that we just brought in who's possibly less mobile than Mitch.
Oh, he's less mobile.
Yeah. I just don't see how this is a positive thing for the Bears, but at the same time, let's see what the Red Rifle can do.
Let's see what happens.
I think I just, you've got a new defensive coordinator in Sean Desai. What can we expect from him? He likes that Fangio style.
Sean Desai, what are you talking about? This is the new guy. That guy Pettin they brought in. Sean Desai. Pettin's available? Come on, senior.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously. I mean, they can't have enough minds in that defensive room. I mean, I'm happy for Sean, but he's been there since 2013, and you got to wonder, doesn't it? Who's in charge? Who's going to be in charge of the defense? So you got to worry about that.
My thing is the offense. I mean, we've seen it. What Matt Nagy's put on this field over the last 2 seasons. I just have zero faith in him as an offensive mind. I'm really hoping it's Bill Lazor that calls plays.
Yeah, but
we see more of last year.
How about how Nagy didn't want Trubisky to begin with?
Yeah.
Do what I did just for fun. Rewatch the first 2 games with Trubisky. Yeah. Watch the play calling. He wanted him out. He wanted him to look like crap, and Mitch pulled those games out, which was disappointing. So when the 3rd game happened and that one mistake happened, Nagy didn't want to take a chance.
I agree.
They just brought him back and yanked him. Piece of crap, in my word. I'm a former coach.
I totally agree.
I'm a former coach. I coached 6 years. He's a piece of crap for what he did. Period.
Look at the guys that have left this organization because of
coaches
of Nagy,
and they don't want to be
where did he stand?
How do you get rid of him?
Yeah,
I mean the whole thing. This is off of Twitter. I just heard this, so I put it out earlier. Hearing from a source that Russell Wilson deal with the Bears isn't over. They will try again next year and add 4 more starters to bring the total to 10. Plus, there's been 2 first-class tickets to the resurrection donated by Tony Montana of Florida. Okay? And then I got another one here. This one's stunning. By the time the day's over, it should be rumored that the Bears offered 8 starters and a KFC franchise to get Wilson. I'll say they offered to rename Frontage Road Russell Wilson Way. So in street slang, I would say this, Ryan and Eldo, they got played. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
The Bears get played.
I agree.
Absolutely,
they got
Mike.
played, man. Oh, God.
You guys got things all figured out.
Thanks,
I appreciate the time, guys. I saw Eldo drop. I said, "Oh, I'm right here. I can jump on."
Well, I've done good. You know what? I'm glad you jumped on. And the talking to myself thing I've perfected over the last 15 years, especially in the car or when I'm by myself in the bedroom. So yeah, Eldo froze.
I did.
Yeah, he did.
Did you see how he froze? He went. I go, come on. I'm like Val Kilmer. I'm your Huckleberry. Come on, talk to me. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks a lot, guys. Have a good one.
All righty.
One of the
Badge
good guys.
to the rescue. What a great guy.
Yeah, what a great guy.
Oh my gosh, Mike! I think we're going to pull the plug on this, and I know we'll have better internet access next week.
Nobody cared. I mean, it worked out. Come on.
Yeah. But let's go over your picks one more time. Again, brought to you by WinDailySports.com. Make sure you follow them at Twitter at WinDailySports and follow Mike at North2North. That's the number 2 in between the 2 Norths. And follow me at Bears Barroom. What do you got, Mike?
All right, tonight, Colorado Avalanche are playing the Minnesota Wild. Okay, the Minnesota Wild are minus now. They've gone from 145 to 155. Take the Colorado Avalanche in the NHL, which I'm really doing well in. I'm doing well in the NHL as better than anything else right now. And then the New Orleans Pelicans are +1 tonight. Now, I want to just check real quick just to make sure that I'm seeing this right, because they're playing Portland. Now, Portland has Damian Lillard, okay? Mm-hmm. And he's about as good as it gets. So I'll just check to see real quick here before we get off the air whether we have, let me just find this here. I don't want to screw people up. Get to the top here. Here we go.
Trailblazers and the New Orleans Pelicans was Zion
Williamson. It's still Portland -1.
Okay.
Take New Orleans +1, folks.
There you go. There you go. Good stuff as always.
For 5 minutes, I felt like the co-pilot. You know, ever see those movies where the pilot had a heart attack? You have to fly the plane, you know, and the only thing you ever drove was a lawnmower. And then, thank God, you revived yourself. Remember the movie Mulholland Falls when the pilot, Nick Nolte, and the pilot gets shot?
Yes.
And they got to land the plane? Yeah, that really happened. So long, everybody.
All righty. Take care, Mike.